Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back. This is His Wondrous Outdoors, going through the book of Job. This is part 3. Okay, we're still in chapter 1, and we're going to finish out the chapter, okay, in this video here. We've seen in the first video, his Job's wealth and his character. And the second one, we see the dialogue between Satan and God giving Satan power over the possessions that Job has. Over everything around Job, he just told him he could not uh, put his hand on Job. So he gave him a lot of power, and we're going to see how much power was granted to Satan from God here in this third part. But we'll also know that he didn't give him complete control. Right? He said you cannot kill Job and you cannot inflict him with any kind of illness or something of that nature. All right. So we're in verse 13, chapter 1. It says, "Now on the day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house," okay, we remember in verse 4, it says, his sons used to go and hold a feast in the house of each one on his day, and they would send and invite their sisters to eat and drink with them. So this is the oldest of the sons, and he has his siblings at his house eating and drinking. Verses 14 and 15. A messenger came to Job and said, the oxen were plowing and the donkeys feeding beside them, and the Sabaeans attacked and took them. They also slew the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. Verse 16. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, the fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed them, and I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, the Chaldeans formed 3 bands and made a raid on the camels and took them and slew the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another came and said, your sons and your daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. 19. And behold, a great wind came from across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house, and it fell on the young people, and they died, and I alone have escaped to tell you. All right, we'll stop in 19 for a moment and talk about these verses that we just covered. Okay, so we see that a messenger came to Job and told him the Sabaeans attacked, right? And they took their oxen and their donkeys. Right? It also says that the fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants, and only the one escaped. And then another says, the Chaldeans formed 3 bands and raided on the camels and took them all and killed all of the servants except for the one that came to tell him that. And then it says the last one to come to him while the other one was still talking, and said a great wind came from across the wilderness, struck the 4 corners of the house, and fell on his children and killed them all. So in these verses we see the power that was given or granted to Satan at this time. And it was a great power. Doesn't mean he still is equal to God in any way, but the power granted to him, right? He whatever Satan did, the Sabaeans came and attacked, right? Does this mean that God made the Sabaeans hateful and want to attack? No. The Sabaeans were just looking for an opportunity, and Satan provided that opportunity, right? God gave Satan that power. The hedge of protection had a gap in it, okay? And they came through and attacked. But the interesting thing here, and the power that Satan had, is a power that we know of God, and it is he had some kind of power, and I got to say this because this is what the word says, over the weather, right? Because it says that the fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep. Now, we got to believe that God, being a good God and a just God, um, wouldn't just send fire down and burn up the sheep and burn up these people that were Job's servants, right? That was Satan, but they think it was God because they had no idea what's going on, all right? And then we see in verse 19, a great wind came through across the wilderness. A great wind. All right, so this power that was granted him was quite the power. Okay. And so we see all these things happen. All right. And an amazing thing is taking place here. We all know in Ephesians, it talks about spiritual warfare. All right. The battle taking place in the spiritual realm. Job is going through spiritual warfare and has no idea what is happening. We have full revelation. We have the word, and we can see if we read the word, we all understand, oh, we're going to go through these things. All right. But God is with us, that we just need to put on the full armor of God and we'd be okay. All right. We'd be able to stand firm. All right. Job didn't have that. So all these things just took place as well, right, to Job. And the other thing we see with this is the way that Satan attacked. It wasn't just a simple, we'll do little by little, like a little trickling. We'll affect him here, and then we'll affect him a little bit over here, and then over here. He said no, right? He said, we're doing it all at once. We're going to hit him hard. We do that, and he will surely curse God to his face. All right. Now we get to verse 20. Okay. And this right here, I have to imagine in my mind what this looks like. Then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head and fell to the ground and worshipped. And this is amazing. Job knows who his God is. But let me point out what I was just saying just a minute ago. Of just imagining this in my mind. So you got to think. All the angelic beings are watching what is going on right now. Okay, they've seen the dialogue between God and Satan. Satan is watching. God is watching. And God already knows, right? He's omniscient. He knows everything. And so we see that everybody's watching. Just as Job arose, and then he tears his robe. And Satan probably thinking, oh yeah, he just tore his robe. All right, this is looking pretty good. And then he shaves his head, and Satan probably still thinking, yep, this is it. This is it. He fell to the ground. You can only imagine. Everyone's watching. And Satan probably thinking when he fell to the ground, this is it. I told you, this is it. This is where he's going to curse God. And Satan just watching, just at the edge of his seat, just waiting for it. And then it says at the end of that verse, and he worshipped. Imagine that. Satan's jaw must have hit the ground. Like, what just happened? Okay, verse 21, he said, this is Job, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord taken away, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, this servant, Job, the servant of God, he said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall return there. So after all has been taken away from him, right? He lost his livestock, his servants, and most importantly, he lost his children. All right? This was a man who loved his family and valued them. He was the priest of his family, even though they were adult children in their own homes, praying for him continuously, right? Offering burnt sacrifices for all of them after they would have their celebrations. And he still says, after all of that, he's got his robe on. He tore his robe. He still has that at the end of the day, right? He's like, and he realizes naked that he came into this earth, and now he has a robe. He still has more than he had. He has God more than that. Okay, but I'm just making a point here. He has his robe. And he says, the Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. He understands that all of his wealth, his blessings, it all came from God. His children, his servants, his livestock, he knows God gave him all of it. And that God take it away. He didn't say the Sabaeans came and take it away. He didn't say the Chaldeans came and took it away. He didn't say Satan took it away. Right? He said God took it away. And that's okay. Right? He can say that, rightfully so. God is just. Right? The other thing that I want to mention here as well is that God uses things for his purpose. And you got to understand that in this book here, okay? And so it's not God just killing all these people and doing all these things, and that was just the will for them all to die and whatnot because God just was doing whatever. No, it's for God's purpose. He allowed these things to happen. He allowed Satan to have this power to take all this away from Job. All right. And in verse 22 it says, through all this, Job did not sin, nor did he blame God. All right. Understand this. Okay. Do not forget this as we go through the study. Job's initial response to the first attack, and it's not just a spiritual attack. There was physical things that took place. People died. Servants and his children died. All his livestock was either taken away or consumed by different things. It was killed, right? It says, through all this, Job did not sin, nor did he blame God. He worshiped. He said, blessed be your name. That was his initial response to all of this. Don't forget that, because as we go through these chapters, you're going to see like, whoa, this is the same Job? Yes, it's the same Job. Okay, there's a lot that's going to take place. You know, from here on out, you know, it's just going to get crazy. There's going to be a lot of distraction, a lot of things happening, a lot of people trying to get Job just to curse God and die, like his wife and stuff like that. But, yeah, listen, guys, it's only going to get better from here, so continue to follow along. And I love you guys, and God bless you guys. I hope you're blessed by this. I know I've been blessed immensely. Right? I've got 4 children, and I've got a grandchild. And so makes me think, you know, like in the first part of this, makes me want to pray for my children more. And so, all right, send out your prayer requests, your praise reports, all right? Like these videos, share these videos, okay? And this channel is not about likes. It's not about how many views I get. It's about glorifying God. It's about going through his scriptures, exploring them together, and seeking him together, all right? All right, guys, until next time, God bless, and I love you guys.